Okay, so in this video, I want to get back to the Chapter 4 Capstone assignment for the retirement report. And we'll go back to step number 8, where we will work on some citations and a bibliography. So when you find information and search for information for a report, and you use the information you learned from someone else's article, for example, you need to cite that source and tell where you got that information from. So in these cases, you want to include an in-text citation to tell what the author's name and usually the year or page number, depending if it's a quote. But you'll give some information at the end of the particular place where you reference that information in the text of your document. Okay, so you'll have those in-text citations, and then at the end of the document you'll have a bibliography, and that will list all of the information about the sources that you have used in the document. Okay, so your styles can be different. For the styles under the references, you've got APA, Chicago, MLA, and some other styles there for how the references will be formatted. So that's the bibliography will be formatted in that way, as well as the in-text citation. So we're going to use APA format. So let's say you go in, you create all of the in-text citations, and then you have it build your bibliography from those citations. And then you realize, oh, it should have been MLA. All you have to do is go back here and change it to MLA, and it automatically reformats all of your in-text citations as well as your bibliography at the end of the document. So it's a really nice and easy way to be able to cite your sources in your document. So in step number 8, we're going to make sure this is APA. And then we're going to go to the 403B section, and we're going to put our cursor right in between the last word of that sentence and the period. For your in-text citations, those should be before the period, and the footnotes and endnotes, those need to be after the period. Okay, so for these, they need to be before the period. I usually like to make sure that there's a space there so that the text is not running into whatever was there with the sentence. The instructions don't tell you to do that, but if you were normally doing this in a document, I would make sure that there is a space there. So what we're going to do is go to insert a citation. And we already have one source listed here. We could use that one, but we're not reusing that same source. We got this from a different place, so we're going to add a new source. So this information in this section we pulled from a website. So I'm going to put the name of the web page. So that's the name of the web page is the particular page that you were on at that moment. Okay, so if you were on a university's web page, it would be the name of the university would be the web site. The web page, let's say for example you were on the Department of Financial Aid in the university website. So it would be the university website, but you're on the page that's the financial aid page. Okay, so that's the difference. The website is the whole site. The page is just that particular page that you're on at that moment. So this one we're on a page within the IRS website, and this page is about choosing a 403B plan. And if you didn't want to type all of this, especially with these long URLs that we have here, you could go in and copy and paste from the instruction sheet. So you could have that open and then just copy and paste from the instruction sheet, which might make it a little bit easier because the URLs are pretty long. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type this one in. And hope that I don't have any typos, because my lab IT will count it wrong if there's a typo. And there's no space right here. Because it is a website address. Okay, I'm just going to double check this. See if it looks correct. If I have any typos that it points out, I can always go back and check those later. Okay, so if you wanted to see additional fields, sometimes you don't know who the author is of the website, so you just have to leave that blank. If it's a company, you could put the company name as a corporate author, but you don't always have all of this information. If you wanted to include additional information, you can go to Show All Bibliography Fields, and it will tell you for this citation style, APA, the ones that are starred in red are the only ones that you need to complete for this particular style. But if you wanted to go in and add the year that you access this information, you can do that as well. But there's lots of information there that you can add. But this dialog box, when you open it and you choose whatever type of source it is, it automatically knows, based on your style here, which information it should require you to complete. And again, some of it you can't always find. You just add as much information as you can so that if someone else wanted to cite this source or to read additional information from this source, they would have plenty of information to be able to go in and find it. Okay, so you can see here, if I click, this is now a field for that citation. That means that I can go in and change it, and it can be updated. So I can click here, and I can edit the source. It takes me back here. I can change that if I needed. Or if I wanted, let's say, for example, I got this from a specific page number, which on a website you don't have, I could go into the Edit Citation box and put which page number that I want that I pulled that information from. If you cite something specifically and put it in quotes, if you take their exact words, you must go in and add the page number from where you pulled that quote. Okay. There are times where you might need to go in and suppress the author or the year or something like that. So if I said, according to the IRS, in 2018, and then I completed my information, I don't necessarily need the year here. So I could tell it to suppress the year, and it would not include that there. Okay, so there are times where you don't need to repeat that information, but you can if you need to. So what we're going to do now is go to the 401k section, to the sentence that ends with "at their workplace," right here. And we're going to add a new source. Okay, so you can see it's adding those sources so that if we need to reuse those, if we had quotes or information we pulled from different places in the same source, we could use that source and not have to retype that information. This one is a new source. Again, it is a website. So we're going to go down to web page. Oops, I'm pulling the wrong one there. And I'm just tabbing to go to the next field. And there are no spaces there. And let me just double check my typing. See if I've got any typos. It will not let me copy and paste from the other document while I'm recording. So, okay, we'll go with that. And then in step 10, we have another citation. And this is for the first table. So it's this one. Okay, we have a source here. So instead of having that source listed that way as a URL, what we want to do is we want to make that a citation. So it says to replace the source URL with the following website citation. So we're not going to delete the word source, just the citation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that, because if it will let us paste it into the dialog box for the citation, that would be great. So I'm going to go into add a new source here and our web page. And I'm going to paste that URL that I copied. Now, whether or not it's going to be case sensitive, you could go back and, change those, since on the sheet it's all lowercase, but that's still a little bit easier than typing it in. And it may accept it with the uppercase letters in there, I don't know, but while I'm at it, I just wanted to give you a heads up because it may not let you use the uppercases. Okay. Okay, just wanted to double check that. I think that might be correct, but we'll find out later when I upload it for grading. Okay, so now you see that the citation has been inserted here. Okay, so the citations, those automatic citations, and inserting those is really easy. You just need to cite those references. Word is making it really easy for you to do so. So there's really no reason that you should not cite when you have pulled information or a direct quote from someone else. So in step number 11, we're going to insert a footnote on page 2 at the end of the table, and at the end of the table heading in the introduction section. So that's the table right here, and it wants you to add the heading to the end of the title of the table. Okay, so if you were looking at your PDF solution file, you would be able to see sort of where it wanted you to insert that information, but it is right here at the end of that heading in the table. Okay, so a footnote is usually used when you want to add more information, just in case the reader might be interested in some additional information. The footnote will go at the bottom of the page where it's referenced. So if I put the footnote here, it will allow me to put the additional information for the reader down at the bottom of the same page. An endnote is a little different. It serves the same purpose. It gives the reader additional information. But if I put the endnote number here, for example, the endnote will not go at the bottom of the same page. The endnote will go at the very end of the document. So all of the endnotes, let's say if you have 5, those would all go at the end of the document. Whereas if you used footnotes, those 5 could go on different pages in the document when you add the footnote at the bottom of the page. Okay, so it's just a little bit of a difference in where they're placed with a footnote versus an endnote. So for the footnote, we're going to go And it's going to put the footnote number here, okay? And since it's a footnote, it's going to go at the bottom of the same page. So all we need to do is type that footnote, and it's just going to provide some additional information to the reader. And this says do not include the period there. Now, this is using footnotes 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. It's just numbering them. So if I added another footnote on the next page, that would be footnote number 2, and so forth. If you added footnotes in between, it would automatically renumber the footnotes. Okay, so you can go here, and if you hover over it or click on it, you can also see the footnote information there, but you can see it at the bottom of the page as well. Okay, so what we want to do in the directions for step 11 is change the number format for the footnotes to ABC rather than numbers. Okay, so what we want to do is go here, and I'm going to highlight that number 1 here, and I'm going to go in and right click, and I'm going to go to Note Options. Okay, so you can go there, or you can go here up to the footnotes, the dialog box. It's the same thing. Okay, so instead of using numbers 1, 2, and 3, we want to use the A, B, and C. Okay, and there's some additional options there that you could use. Okay, so we'll just click on Apply. And you can see that now this has changed that to an A, and it's changed this to an A. Okay. Now, in step number 12, this is where we get to the bibliography. So we're going to go to the end of the document, and I'm going to put my formatting marks on just for a second here. So I'm going to go to the end of the document, and I'm going to press Control-Enter just to enter a page break. Okay, you can see the page break is there. And I want to insert a bibliography with the title Works Cited. And it should be double-spaced with no paragraph spacing before or after. Okay, so in this case, let's go up to References. We're going to do the bibliography first and then worry about the formatting. So we're going to insert the bibliography. It wanted the one called Works Cited. There are some subtle differences between using the heading Bibliography, References, and Works Cited, which I'll let you search for those differences. They're minor, but there are some minor differences between using those. So this inserts the Works Cited. So all of those citations that we entered through the Insert Citation feature, it's automatically pulling those in when it creates the bibliography. This is a wonderful thing. It makes life so much easier, and you don't have to worry as much about the formatting between APA, MLA, and so forth. So in instruction number 12, we're going to highlight the entire bibliography, and you can see it's a field. So when we click on it, you know, it's a field. Okay, it turns gray. But we're going to highlight the entire thing here, and we are going to change the spacing. Okay, now when you update, you can click here to update the bibliography. If you've added any other citations or anything's changed, it will update it. Okay, so there are some different options here. If you wanted to change the format of it, back to bibliography and so forth, those options are there. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that, and we're going to our paragraph options, and we're going to change our line spacing to be 0 before and 0 after, and single spacing. Oh, I'm sorry, it should be double spaced. So it should be double spaced with no paragraph spacing before or after. Okay, so notice I highlighted the title as well. Okay, so that will double space it. And in step number 13, it also wants us to format the bibliography with the font of Times New Roman. Since I already have everything highlighted, you need to have all of it highlighted, including the title, I'm going to change this to Times New Roman with the font size of 12, including the title. And it wants the works cited, centered. And then all text should be black. And it should be black text 1 font color. It looks like it is, but just to make sure, I'm going to go here, and it should be this top one here, the black text one. Okay. And then it says that no text should be bold. So just make sure, I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I think just the heading is bolded, but we're going to make sure that nothing is bolded. Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's save that. And the last thing I want to do here is a table of contents with an automatic table style, and this should be between the cover page and the current page 2. So if we go back into our document, here's our cover page and then page 2. We want the table of contents in between those 2 pages. So I'm going to go before introduction, click there and press Control Enter. There are other ways to insert a page break. Since I have my formatting marks on, you can see where the page break is. So I want to go before that page break and insert my table of contents. Now, the key with the table of contents is that anything that has a heading style applied will be pulled into the table of contents. Okay, so that's why it was important that we applied our heading styles to these different headings within the document. Okay, otherwise it will not create it if it doesn't have a heading style applied. So we're going to go back to the references, to table of contents, and the instructions say an automatic table 1 style, just this one. Okay, so you see, and the arrows are just the tabs there. I'll turn those off so it looks a little cleaner. So now you have your table of contents, and this is great. The numbering is a little wacky right now, but that's that has to do with the section breaks, and because it's looking at the first page as a different first page, so it's doing some odd things there. So right now we won't worry about that. But if I wanted to go to the 401k plans in the document, I just press Control and click there, and that will take me to that section in the document. So those are all hyperlinked. It will pull in the page numbers. If you want to update the table of contents, if you add more content or delete and the page numbers might have changed, then you would go in here and click on Update the Table. Okay, now the key here is, again, don't type in your headings again here and then create the table of contents. That's not going to work. We already applied the heading styles to the existing headings in the document, and it pulled the table of contents from those. Okay, so look, if I do this, if I say this is going to be a normal style, and then I go back up, and you can see it's right here. But if I update my table, I'll update the entire table. You can see that now that introduction is gone. Okay, but if I go back and apply that heading 1 again, update the entire table, you can see that it's back. So it's the heading styles that will be pulled to create that table of contents. Okay, so I will go over the index in the next video.